welcome. Tonight is Monday, March 26, 2018. This is a regular city council meeting for the city of St. Peter. It is 7 o'clock p.m. We will call the meeting to order. Would all please join in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone should have a copy of the agenda in front of them. Are there any changes or corrections to the agenda? Under unfinished business, that item is not, we will not be doing that one tonight. There wasn't any information in the packet. It was a little premature, I guess, for putting that one in for tonight.
It's still unfinished.
Yes, it's still definitely unfinished. So that one will be removed. With that change, is there a motion for approval?
Move approval, Mr.
Second.
Mayor.
Any other questions or comments about the agenda? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Next, we have the minutes from our March 12, 2018 meeting. Those minutes appear on pages 3 through 6. Are there any changes or corrections to those minutes? If not, is there a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any other comments or any comments? All in favor of the minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those minutes are approved. Next, we will address visitors. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the council on any agenda item? Seeing no one, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the council on any item whatsoever? Seeing no one, we will move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda begins on detail on page 7 and concludes with the resolution on page 23 and includes the following budgeted purchases in excess of $7,500 to Hawkins, Inc. for 2018 pool chemicals not to exceed $8,000. The following license renewals: a temporary peddler permit for Barbara Lynn, also doing business as Sweet Shop Express, from May 1st, 2018 to October 31st, 2018. For tree worker license for Wendroth Building, Wilson Brothers Trucking and Construction and Tree Services, those all from May 1st through April 30th, 2019. Plus the regular schedule of disbursements for March 8th, 2018 through March 21st, 2018. Are there any questions or comments about the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion for approval?
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Any questions or comments now? Call the roll, please, Barb.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember Pfeiffer?
Aye.
Councilmember Tony?
Aye.
Mayor Zeman?
Aye.
Councilmember Carlin?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
Consent agenda is approved. Next, we will go to unfinished business, which I stated there now is none. Then we will move right into new business, and the first thing up is the 2008B Hospital Revenue Bond refinancing. Todd.
Mayor and members, there's information provided in your packet starting on page 24 from Shannon Sweeney, who works for David Drown and Associates and is our financial consultant. Shannon has been to the Economic Development Authority meeting a couple of times to discuss this. It does need approval of the City Council, and the final resolution was included on your desk tonight, which does a few different things. But let me talk kind of in the big picture before we get to specifics, or if you have other questions, I'll do my best to answer those for you. This would be a refinancing of the 2008B bonds that were originally issued to finance about half of the construction of the medical office building, which is attached to the hospital. It would be west of the main hospital entrance. The reason to refinance it this way is twofold. One of which is that you can save some money by doing it this way, anywhere between $250,000, we believe, to up to $300,000. Certainly that will depend on the markets at the time if you move forward. The markets at the time are really the markets tomorrow, because we're receiving bids on this tomorrow. And so that's when it will be determined. The remaining balance is just something over $2 million. The EDA has approved the financing. The second major item that we're looking to do would be to refinance it so that there are some covenants removed. And probably the biggest covenant is that, and it's not unusual for issuances of this type, to say, well, you have to maintain on hand at any time 125% of a payment for that year in your reserves to make that happen. The challenge for this is that should you move forward with the financing of the hospital project, as you know, the final financing mechanism is through the USDA. However, that loan, if you receive it, would not be closed until the end of the project. They kind of don't do construction financing. It just is at the end of the project, and they guarantee that. And so you'll have to issue debt for construction. Because that debt is in excess of $26 million, and it's over a relatively short period of time, a couple of years or so, that obviously means the math is more than 125%. And so that's a covenant that we have to get removed, and is the primary issue relative to this, related to the covenants and the need to want to change this. So again, two primary issues, one of which is you can save some money by doing it. We hope over $250,000, and to remove the covenants that don't allow for the financing to take place as has kind of been planned with USDA. There's information, again, from Shannon within your packet, and I can talk specifically about the resolution if you want, but again, it's the resolution that was left on your desk tonight. It really does a few different things. It provides for authorization of the debt. It provides for the pricing committee, which is made up of myself and the EDA president, James Dunn, to review those bids and to say, here's the number. Although it has a not to exceed number, we could not approve bids if they're greater than 4.2%. It provides for approval of the bond resolution and says that the mayor is the authorized representative to sign all of this paperwork. So those are the four primary things that the resolution does. Be happy to answer any questions if I can.
Okay. Anyone? Wow. If there are no questions. The resolution, as Todd pointed out, authorizing the execution and delivery of a lease with option to purchase agreement related to the EDA refinancing of a 2008 hospital revenue bond is in the handout that we all received. Is there a motion for approval?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions now?
This is a financing mechanism, a financing tool that we've used before in the city. We used it when we built this building that we're sitting in, so we know that it works. It's having 1.25% of a $13 million payment that would be due is outlandish and impossible. So all this, we've talked about it multiple times with Shannon at workshops, as well as Shannon coming to the EDA meetings twice. So all this seems logical, reasonable, and straightforward.
Yeah, I attended those EDA meetings, and like I say, there was questions asked there, and then Shannon answered them all very adequately, I think, to everybody's need. Any other questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Aye.
Councilmember Bowman.
Aye.
Mayor Zeno.
Aye.
Councilmember Garland.
Aye.
Councilmember Brand.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Next up, we have Mr. Moulton, who's Johnny on the spot. Talk to us about a equipment
Mayor
certificate.
Zeman and City Council. Staff is here tonight to ask you to use 2018 equipment certificate funding to purchase a new Ram 2500 Crazeman 4x2 regular cab truck for the Parks Department. Our goal would be to put a Stall Challenger Standard 2 98-inch model service box on that truck and use that for construction maintenance purposes. A couple of things that you will note here. The existing truck that we're trading in was purchased used. It has been a good vehicle for us. It's starting to show a little wear and tear. We did check the state bid, priced out a Ford vehicle that came in at about $27,458. We compared that to the loggers, our local dealers' fleet model number. They came in about $309 higher. And as you guys have approved in the past, we took preference to the loggers' bid for the $309 extra. Staff had budgeted about $35,000 for this purchase. with that change, we'll be just slightly $329 over our budgeted amount. Very close to where we want to be with what's going on there. The new truck would come with a warranty. We're happy with the comparable unit, and we're asking that you approve the purchase tonight.
Questions?
So the truck we purchased in 2009, we have in 9 years managed to put 35,000 miles on it, 4,000 miles a year.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, well, shoot, we should be buying a used truck, and when we put so little mileage on it, in 10 years, when it's rusted out and all, we will sell it. Nobody cares if it's 10 years old or 9 years old at that point. So I went online to look at pricing, see how much we could save by buying a used truck. Holy Toledo used trucks are expensive. Unbelievable. This is a really good deal we got.
It is.
It is really a good deal, so I'm very pleased by this.
We also had compared, Councilmember Kwame, as you remember, we had purchased a 2011 truck 1 or 2 council meetings ago and purchased that used, and it was very...
A lot of miles,
Yep.
but in
A lot
good
of
shape.
miles and still quite a bit of money, so. But again, that truck won't be used for what this will be, to carry tools and serve in the method it will.
Pete,
Ed.
and also,
Oh, sorry, Jerry. Go ahead first.
this way, and the warranty work will be done locally. We won't have to waste a day driving to the metro area and with 2 people to bring them one back and then take up the next day or whatever, how long it takes.
Right.
So that saves us some expense in the long run.
If there is, right, if there is any warranty work, it is local.
Ed?
Okay, I understand the difference in price to stay local is a good thing, but in the lovely Minnesota winters and stuff, have you ever thought of just a 4x4 instead of a 4x2, or ain't this truck out enough in the wintertime?
We don't use it for plowing or those purposes, so most of the time, the gentleman that operates this right now helps with snow removal. And so this is a truck that's used to maintain buildings and have access to the front door. So we didn't know if we didn't think we would need the 4x4 service to pay that extra in the wear and tear.
Goes out after everything's plowed then?
Right.
Anyone else? The resolution authorizing 2018 equipment certificate purchase of a 2018 Ram 2500 Tradesman regular cab 4x2 with the utility box appears on page 31. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any other comments or questions? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Kwame.
Aye.
Mayor Zimmern.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Aye.
Resolution passes.
Thank you.
That concludes our new business. Maybe we should have another meeting next 2 weeks from now. We ready for that? As long as we got time.
We'll be working everything up.
Next is reports. The only thing I have, I know Todd's going to talk about one event on the 29th, but I'm going to mention again the Vietnam Veterans Day service that they have also on March 29th, this coming Thursday, starting at 6:30 at the St. Peter Legion. And that's all I have.
Mayor members, I do want to mention the tornado commemoration event on March 29th at the high school auditorium. Doors will open about 4:15 and the event will start very promptly at 5:15. We've done the committee that includes the Chamber of Commerce, the city, of course, Nicollet County, Gustavus, the Nicollet County Historical Society, and the school district have put a lot of time and energy into it, and I think it'll be a very, very, very nice, positive program. So we're excited about that. I do have to mention this graphic. I had somebody come up to me today and say, that's not the school district's logo, or that's not the same logo that Nicollet County uses anymore, or that the chamber, and so just, this is a rendition that was done in a year or two after the tornado when we had a big billboard out in the north end of town. So it's not meant for today, it's really from that time frame, but I think it expresses our sentiments really well about thanking folks who came to help us out. So again, I do want to mention that if you're planning to be there, you might want to be there a little bit early because I think it'll be very busy. The next one I have on my list is the Joint City Council School Board Meeting, Committee of the Whole. Please get on your calendars for April 9th. It's a Monday night. We're really trying really hard to not occupy you for 4 nights a week, trying to keep the number of nights narrow. And so this is a Monday night, and so we have a preliminary agenda that's going to talk about maintenance at Community Spirit Park, amenities there. A number of different things will be talked about as a part of that meeting. So I hope that an hour is long enough and not too short to make things go, because of course that evening you have a council meeting after that, and it'll be held in this room. We'll get the tables round like we had done previously. The last one that I have is a special meeting on Thursday, so this upcoming Thursday night at 8 o'clock in this room. Now, that meeting has been posted and is noticed appropriately. We are expecting to get correspondence from the USDA relative to the funding for the hospital project. And as you may recall, as George has talked about, it's important for us to get you to take action on that before we flip into April, because as soon as we flip into April, the interest rate will go up. And so this is kind of the night that we can make this all happen before you get into April, while still having enough information to ask you to do something that's concrete. In other words, we expect either tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday a letter from USDA that sets the conditions for the loan through USDA. We've seen only a draft of that yet. We haven't seen a final version of that. We want to make sure that we have that in hand before you take action. That said, if we don't receive that letter, then I'll be asking to have the meeting canceled and you won't meet at 8 o'clock. But we're confident that a letter is on its way. I received an email before the meeting from the USDA representative saying, I'm confident that it's going to be there before Thursday. I'm confident it's going to be there before Thursday. And so as long as all that holds true to form, we'll be ready to go. And again, I would expect a relatively short meeting, but we certainly want to be thorough. This potentially is a major commitment. You haven't built anything yet. You're spending a lot of money, but you haven't spent the most of the money yet. But we want to be able to cover these things appropriately. And of course, you've all been, you all know what's kind of going on and what issues are at stake here. So we just want to make sure that everybody's in the right position. So those are the 3 major points that I want to cover tonight, Chuck.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add? John?
On the anniversary of the tornado, my wife and I have always gone and sat on the front steps and looked around our neighborhood, which isn't the same anymore, and talked on the phone to our kids and such. Well, once the daylight savings came, the light was all wrong. The light isn't right until 6:30. So when you all leave the service, the event up at the high school, if it lasts an hour, you'll be walking out about 6:30. Then you can look at the sky. That's what the daylight was like when the tornado came.
Thanks for that.
Todd, are they gonna have that on Channel 7 eventually, like?
So the current plan is that it will be live stream from the event, and then within a week or so, it will be programmed and shown on SPPA.
Okay.
So there'll be a couple of different ways. So, and also our plan is to put it on YouTube, like your council meetings are too. So it'll be archived there, so anytime people who have a computer are interested in looking at it, they'll be able to look at it there. Great question, thank you. Jeff?
I just wanted to mention the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities had their day at the Capitol on the 14th of March, and I attended that. We had a lunch meeting with the House Minority and Majority Leader and the Senate Majority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader, and they all kind of came to a consensus that this year, being the budget picture is the way it is, there's not going to be a lot of money to be spent at the Capitol. So what that means is that it'll be probably a year where they talk about a dressed-down bonding budget bill, but they probably won't have a lot of large projects, which means there'll be some pent-up expenditures there. Also, there was talk by the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities about including a $30 million increase to the LGA, which of course helps us with our property taxes and keeps them a little bit more stabilized here in the community, as well as a lot of other places in Minnesota. And that would just get us to 2002's level. And so there's still some work that needs to be done there to get us to 2018. But $30 million spread over the cities across greater Minnesota would definitely help to build new infrastructure and to purchase new vehicles and police cars and stuff like that. And the last thing the coalitions of greater Minnesota cities is kind of being aware of is the fact that the House of Representatives and the Senate are each introducing a bill today that would establish a constitutional amendment for the purpose of funding transportation, which may or may not impact us going forward in Minnesota. If it goes the way it was, it's planned to be introduced, it would actually not allocate any money for small cities. Those are cities less than 5,000. And since a lot of the communities that are a part of the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities and a lot of communities in Minnesota are small cities like that, that's kind of a conundrum for them. And so that's a bill to watch as well. That's all I had.
Thanks for attending that, and thanks for serving on that board. Appreciate that. Anyone else? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
I think that's